What is up guys, Wraec here with a new video, and today I want to talk about the upcoming hero Tasi. Tasi is a hero we first met within the story, actually exactly where I'm standing in the Tranquil Clove on the Scandia Islands. We can still visit the location afterwards, but there is nothing left. Tasi is also not there, so sadly can't show you her in person right now. She was actually announced today on Twitter and Discord with a little bit of a teaser that we can look at, and surprisingly enough for me, she won't arrive at the end of this raid up, which would be in 12 days 7 hours by the time of the recording of this video. Apparently it will be in 6 days, so far earlier than expected, and will be the next raid up. So I personally thought it would be Bonnie who's going to arrive next, but no, Tasi. So let's take a look at the spoiler. So this is what they posted, together with the text: "In the whispers of the Dream Isle's winds, where sun-kissed rains mingle with Flora's secrets, a guardian drifts between realms. As night descends, her ethereal presence graces every slumber, protecting dreams and the island's hidden treasure. Guided by enchanting butterflies, seekers may stumble upon an ancient sword poised to unlock the isle's deepest mysteries." And if you've played the story, then you of course know that this is exactly the role that Tasi fulfilled. And well, on the picture, well, that is like the Who's That Pokemon thing, and we can even see her outlines right there. Look at that, it's not even completely gone. And if we take a screenshot from the story like this one, we can clearly see that this is indeed the same. We see the little metal parts here. Those are also in the picture, so this is clearly Tasi, no question about it. And she's quite the interesting hero, in that in the story, without too much of a spoiler, she puts us in kind of a dream, and this is exactly her role lore-wise. I read up on the lore, as you know, I'm not a big guy in terms of AFK Arena. She was a hero there, and this kind of allows us also to take a little peek at what the skills might be. And for that we will go into her skills in AFK Arena, and also I want to bring you 2 examples on heroes that also came from AFK Arena to AFK Journey, to give us an idea of how close they really are when they come from this very different game AFK Arena to AFK Journey. So let's first take a look at Tasi. And for that I have the AFK Arena wiki, afkarena.fandom.com, and we have the page from them on Tasi. Intelligence-based support of the wildest faction, classified S-class support, role control, and her main special ability is described further down below. We get a little peek of her lore here, and I want to just read out the first sentence. "Tasi, sometimes known as the Fairy of Dreams, is responsible for the dreams of all people," and that is really also represented in her skills. With the first skill, Tasi puts all enemy targets to sleep for 4 seconds. Once the enemies awaken, they will be dealt 25% of the damage received while they were asleep, which is an absolutely mighty ability, a hard CC for 4 seconds, so not a super long time, but just being unable to do anything for 4 seconds, given with a little bit of a damage reduction, because they only receive 25% of the damage received during that time, is quite mighty. And for the wildest teams, that is especially interesting, because what we use in AFK stages quite often right now are CC chain teams. What do I mean by that? So what we often kind of use is something like this. This was one of the teams that I saw recommended the most during this season. We see Iron, we see Ulmus, which we are going to take a look at in a second because he's Tasi's friend. And we also see Temesia. Especially the group of those 3 is for the CC in this team. Arden also has some CC, but his main role is damage, and we can see how this works out in a fight. In a fight, we first get Immobilize, which gets lengthened by the Mythic Plus of Ulmus, and then we chain Disruption, Interruption effects with Temesia on the enemy team, trying to keep the enemy at bay, trying to keep them from really dealing any damage to our team, and this is quite successful. Imagine now having another way to put them to CC those enemies, having another 4 seconds in between. The more solid a chain of CC is, and the least or the less able an enemy is to do anything during that time, no matter if he takes damage, the better this is for us. and just having a 4 seconds in between to charge up ult again can be worth quite a lot. Can definitely be worth quite a lot, and is definitely interesting in terms of a team like this. Beyond that, we also see that she has some heal. She can summon a magical fairy for 10 seconds that will attack enemies and heal our teammates. So that is fairly interesting to see if that is going to be a minion. If they would put something in the game like this, some increase for the damage dealing. Then we have a ability that is mostly like the Rainier one. Banishes an enemy target with the highest attack rating for 4 seconds. Banished state enemies cannot attack or be attacked. Removing one enemy from the enemy team is quite insane. Just one less enemy that is able to act. And if our Tasi would stay on the battlefield, we would gain quite an advantage from that. That reminds me of like PvP teams that aim towards getting like 1 or 2 kills very early, because even with that, the enemy power is severely diminished, and we are able to just steamroll them at that point. She also has a teleportation ability. Teleportation here is called. After suffering damage, Tasi extricates herself from any control abilities, such a nice word, that are inflicted her and teleports behind a random enemy target. While teleporting, Tasi is unable to be attacked. After teleporting, Tasi increases nearby allies' haste and attacks any nearby enemies, dealing 140 damage to them, and this has a cooldown. So like moving over the board in general is quite good. Moving to an enemy in the situation of AFK Journey is not too great. If you are behind the enemy, you're not really safe at all in this game. But then we get some extra abilities, and down below we have the enhance of the ability banishment, enhance of teleportation, and that is mostly it for her kit. Would she be an interesting hero in that regard with those abilities if she just brought this to the table? No changes at all, just take her, put her into AFK Journey. So would that work out? Well, I would be a little bit concerned about the teleportation ability. Well, in general, I think this is a good thing. Moving over the battlefield swiftly, having times where you are unable to be attacked, that is pretty good in AFK Journey as well. But I'm a bit concerned that she's going to teleport behind the enemies, and we'll have basically the entire enemy line between our team and her, making her very, very vulnerable and die fairly swiftly. We saw similar concerns with Mikola, and Mikola didn't even go behind the enemy, she just moved towards them, and for support that can be quite a problem. But in general, I appreciate the idea of having an ability aimed towards survival on her. The banish ability is strong. We saw it with Rainier. If she doesn't move to another dimension, would be great. A little bit of heal is nice. It's not her main thing. I don't really think it's her main thing. The sleep thing is great. I said it fits into the team with Iron and Arden and everything. We have to say one thing though, it doesn't have really direct synergy with Ulmus. It is just another CC we put on the board, which could be replaced at any point by any other CC. The thing with this is usually Ulmus and Iron, they revolve around CCs that move enemies and make them unable to move then. And she really doesn't play into that. It's just a different kind of CC put onto the board. Putting a little bit of heal in the team could be quite nice. If the healing value is very strong, that would even be better, because we sometimes see the enemy chip away a little bit at the HP of an Iron or an Ulmus. Though in the most situations, I have to say, if you push very far and you use this team, then you really rely on another ability of Iron. And that is his third ability, the Tempest Guard, where you gain the 50% dodge rate while he's shielded. So this is really what keeps Iron at the front line, what keeps him alive, and what lets you clear even rather difficult stages with a CC team, with a damage-oriented CC team. And the dodge rate is increased to 80% later. So you do a few attempts, you hope for the right RNG with Iron, and that's how you clear. So in that regard, it's not really the heal keeping him alive. In many situations, we even have it like he gets one shot or something. With Ulmus, who's also at the front row, we of course have a different survivability way, and this is just that once he gets hit below 30% HP, he moves to the backline. And this means he can't really be one-shot, because he will always stop at like 30% as far as I have seen it. And at that moment just teleport to the backline, he's directly out of the battle, and Iron is left alone at the front, which is sometimes even better, because then we get the CC, so that's kind of nice. But looking at Ulmus now, let's maybe take a little bit of an educated guess at whether the abilities will be the same with Ulmus from AFK Arena to AFK Journey. Let's look at how this transition worked. And I will assume you just know the skills of Ulmus for this. If you don't know them, you can read them in game, and I will reference to some points from his abilities. So here we are back in Ulmus skill set. We can see Ulmus strength-based tank in the Wilders faction. He's described as he's a tank hero up until he uses his ultimate ability Deep Roots. He then becomes a tough range support marksman who is immune to crowd control effects. He can still soak up damage during his marksman mode, but it leaves the front open, potentially endangering the allied back row. And just from this description, that sounds pretty similar, I have to say. That sounds very, very similar. It isn't really his ultimate... It is still within his ultimate ability, really, the part where he moves to the back row. It's just not an active part in AFK Journey. It is a part that is just activated through reaching a certain HP threshold, which is very much so better for AFK Journey than the way it would work in AFK Arena. So if we take a look at his abilities, we also find this ability. Almost immediately recovers 40% of his max HP, roots himself to the ground until the end of the battle. While rooted to the ground, almost is immune to all control effects, and normal attacks turn into ranged attacks. That raises his attack rating by 40%. If Almost possesses enough energy while he's rooted, he will use 35% of his maximum energy to strengthen his normal attack damage and stun effect. So we also have a stun effect from his stone throws. We have the rooting as well. In this situation, he of course moves to the back, which is kind of good. And so in this core of him, with the rooting, with the stun, with the mode switch, we all find those key parts of his abilities. We find those in AFK Journey as well. So Ulmus on the one hand is rather similar, I would say, to his AFK Arena counterpart. But maybe let's take a look at a hero that was changed a bit more. Let's take a look at Telene. And I will again assume that you know her skills. So we find Telene here. Telene is an agility-based support hero for the Celestial faction. She can summon meteorites, revive herself, and sacrifice her attack rating to heal her allies. Her ultimate ability, Fireborn, allows her to don a phoenix form until the end of battle, where she converts her health to shield. So we see Celestial agility class support roll continuous damage. So this only partly applies to AFK Journey, where we see that she is, well, not a support hero. In AFK Journey, we find her as a Celestial Mage, so quite a different class, even though we certainly would attribute her the role of a continuous damage dealer. That is the same, really, and so in this part, the roles are still similar. Let's take a look at her skills though. So if we scroll down, we once again find the skills. Telene goes into Phoenix form that lasts until death and converts 90% of her current HP into a permanent shield of equal value, plus an additional extra permanent shield on top that is equal to 20% of her max health. Talene's normal attacks will turn into close range area attacks that deal 150% damage while in Phoenix form. So we kind of find this skill still on her. Her ult is still to, like, well, not take on a different form in that sense, but she moves to a certain position and starts dealing continuous damage. In AFK Journey, it's like a flamethrower. Here, she takes on more of a form of a support hero, converting her health to shield, and then taking on this Phoenix form where she's does close range stuff. So it is a little bit different. It's a little bit aimed at a different thing. And in AFK Journey, we find that her ult is more targeted to be like a very, very heavy AoE attack. A very heavy AoE attack, an AoE attack that scales over time, that scales with the damage she deals to herself. This is made part of her core. And I mean, she covers a vast area with her skills, which isn't really part of the AFK Arena set, and is a major thing in AFK Journey, playing into this area, playing into this AoE, playing also into positioning. That is very important. We find this ability though, called the Fiery Meteorite, that deals 200% damage on a single enemy target, and we find a very similar ability on her as well. She doesn't really know this Phoenix form though in AFK Journey. Like, she doesn't have like abilities that work in one way in a normal form, one way in Phoenix form. she doesn't have this change anymore. Her abilities work the same all the time. She has an ult, she activates it, she deals damage to herself and covers a vast area with her flames. Damage increase. We see the revive ability as well. Phoenix Rising transforms into a fireball, we know this. Recovers HP and cannot be targeted by enemies. It's the same. With the positive effects, that's another story. And once Talene health reaches 50%, we could say once her health is replenished, she's reborn and also deals damage around her. So this is very similar, and also this is also the same, that her recovery rate of HP is reduced. We see the same on her in AFK Journey. So this is something that stayed there. And overall, I just want to say, and if we take our experiences now from the analysis of Olmus and Talene back into Tasi, is that we can say there are certain changes, often because of the different kinds of games that AFK Journey and AFK Arena are, to bring certain things in there. Our playing field is different, our hero movement and stuff is different. So heroes get changes to be more applicable to that. Sometimes there can be bigger changes, like with the role change of Talene, but the core, you will find the core of the AFK Arena hero usually also in the AFK Journey hero. And Tasi's core is dreams, Tasi's core is putting the enemies to sleep. And I think we will find that. I think we will find that in there. So I'm pretty positive that we will find a very similar ability to this on her. We'll probably also find the heal. I'm pretty sure they will change this teleport. And I think this will not find its way in the same way, or even I probably not at all into AFK Journey. I think this is like my expectation for this. I think we will get the core with the dreams and everything. She will be an interesting hero. She might be a choice depending on the way if they put the ult like this into the game. I think she's a nice choice for a Wilder team, and I'm honestly positive she will make it to some AFK stage pushing even. In general, of course, we can also take a little bit of a look for the end of this video at the general history of Wilder heroes. And as you are aware, overall, at the moment, they have the highest quality, the biggest power that we see on heroes. We have meta choices like Iron in there, Lily May, Arden, even Damien for PvP. Heben is mighty, Parisa is mighty, Olmus is mighty, even Lenya is insane, Florabelle, and the heroes that are not in the meta, like Brian, is still a strong hero. I think there are only like 2 heroes that don't really see play, which is for one Luca, and the other one is Kafra, and a very limited play on Granny. But Granny, as I said, still good tank in her way. It's just a little bit outperformed by other tanks. So I expect her to be a very strong addition to the game. I expect her to be a very strong hero, and I will pull her at the start, so we will also find a review of her on my channel. And I hope we will see us then to test her, maybe in a live stream, to do some summons there. Can't wait for it, honestly. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe leave a subscription to the channel, would help me out a lot. And other than that, I wish you a great day. We'll see us in the next one.